Hello. Hi guys, welcome back to my podcast, Backseat Positivity, where we discuss all things positive, but maybe not positive, but we put a positive spin on it, because don't we need more positivity in the world? I'm Dawn, I'm a doctor. Sometimes I have guests on, but usually it's just me, I'm afraid. Sorry. But that's okay, I hold the show on my own. And today we're talking about, I haven't yet decided the episode name, but I'm concerned that all humans are fucked up, okay? I'm sorry. I'm just worried, alright? I might also call it something like How to Be As Happy as a Dog. Why humans will never be as happy as dogs. They just won't. And I'm fucked up. Everyone's fucked up. But you're probably thinking, Dawn, you just said that this whole thing is positive, didn't you? And I was like, yeah, okay, I did. If you wait till the end, trust me, we'll be getting to the positivity. But first we need to go down the negative track of how humanity is fucked up, and I'm scared. Okay, I've got a mint matcha tea here. I really needed a little pick-me-up. I'm not going to lie, guys. I am on the same day, only a couple of hours later, as the last episode you listened to or saw me in. I know, I look a bit different, but that's because I just put a jumper on because I was a bit cold. Nothing else is different. Oh, except I've got my glasses on my head. That's it. That's all. And that the time is different. And that's it. That's all. I said that twice. Okay. So I've seen a lot of humanity. Okay. Oh, let me just pre-warn you. This might make me need to go to the toilet. We'll see. It's a danger that I'm willing to risk. It's a risk that I'm willing to take. So, as a doctor, I have seen a lot of humanity. A lot. Like thousands. I don't even know how many people I've seen. So bloody many. I need to put this pen down. So bloody many that I can't count. And all of them in their own little way, including myself. Whoa. I'm not excluding myself here. Trust me. I am also fucked up in my own way as well. All of them in their own way have been a bit fucked up. And the reason why I make this episode is because somebody said to me the other day, I know some genuinely happy people. And I was like, no, you don't. I don't believe it. I don't believe that they are truly happy. I think in some way or another there's something that they are not happy about, or they're portraying very well the facade that they are happy. And that's not to say people aren't happy, and that is what I'm going to get to at the end, is that I think there is a way to be happy, but I think there's always a background of some kind of fucked upness. And let's get into that, I suppose. I can't remember who it was that said they know like fully happy people, and they were like genuinely, I mean, looked like they believed me, but they were genuinely shocked when I was like, no you don't, they're not happy. I sound awful, but like, I just don't believe it. I've seen the dark side of everything. I'm very observant, it's a problem, and I watch body language, I find out a lot of people's stories, I know things, trust me. Okay, now what I find interesting about being fucked up is that it doesn't discriminate between age, gender, richness, poorness, anything. It doesn't give a fuck, okay? Because often we're not born fucked up, although some people can be, and we are often generally just born a bit neutral. Okay, we obviously have our tendencies, but every human, I just think, seems to be more fucked up than the last. Okay, I'm going to be using the word fucked up a lot. I'm very sorry in this episode. If you don't like it, you know what to do. Okay, now you've all gone. So I just think it's a chronic, constant cycle of fucked upness. So as each generation comes along, they fuck up their generation, their children, and then those ones are fucked up, so then they fuck up the next generation, and so on and so on. It's lovely, isn't it? Now, does that mean that I don't see any positive change in the general state of humanity over the years? No, that's not necessarily true, and we'll get to that a bit later. But there are lots of ways. Okay, the main reason I think everybody's fucked up is I watch some things on TV, okay? And I am absolutely astounded, uncontrollably astounded by how many people abuse children. I understand the premise behind it, okay? You're fucked up, and you've been abused, so you feel the desire or compulsion or whatever to therefore abuse children, and because they're vulnerable and you've got control over them, they don't really have a choice, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, it really blows my mind. I'm like, There are so many people, and lots of people won't talk about it. I'm not asking you to, okay? But importantly, I just realised that I'm wearing a mug that says Norway and wearing a jumper that says Norway. I do love Norway, okay? I can't deny it. I do love it. But this wasn't intentional. It's not like a Norway podcast. It just happened. It was coincident. Also, by the way, for those of you who are long-term followers, I've flipped the camera around so I can see the camera battery. It does mean that I'm looking at myself upside down though, which is quite disconcerting, but we can deal with it. And if it means that I get rid of this issue of constantly losing camera footage, then I think I can cope with not. Also, it's making me look at the camera more rather than just a little image of myself, which is extremely narcissistic, but it's what a lot of people do. You know, when you're on FaceTime, you're just like, I'm just looking at myself. You may as well not even be there. So I think the fucked upness of humankind and the abuse of children, I know, lovely topic, was highlighted specifically by the Me Too movement. And I remember reading things that people were like, oh, people are just joining in on the Me Too movement because they want to be included. And it was like, no, people are joining in on the Me Too movement because they only now just feel that they can speak up about their abuse because everybody else is. And it's like, oh, okay, you've done it, so I feel the confidence to go and do it as well. Not because they want to be in on some kind of scheme. Like, nobody benefits from that. Like, in fact, it's very embarrassing, scary, awkward, frightening to be admitting to those things, especially if the person's still alive, and especially if nobody knows about it, and especially if there might be some kind of social ramification for it, you know, like they were your dad and your mum didn't know or whatever, something like that. But it's, you know, that kind of just, as well as meeting a lot of sexual abuse survivors, and just hearing a lot about kind of people who have been abused, you know, just in my personal life and also as patients. I'm just amazed at how many people have been abused, and I'm just like, fucking hell, can we not sort this out? Okay, but let's think, right? If it's not some kind of illegal abuse, sexual, physical, you know, the standard abusees, there's a different kind of abuse that, well, it's not really abuse, different kind of issue that comes up. And that is the issue of, okay, so let's say, okay, no, I'm going back on that train of thought. The different kind of issue is that if somebody's rich, okay, sometimes they are surrounded by drugs, or they're put into a kind of generally parent situation where they're either not around or they're like business people, so they're a little bit emotionally neglectful, and they often feel very inadequate because they've never had to work very hard, and as a result they feel like they have to work harder in order to gain their parents' recognition and other people's recognition, so they're not just living in their parents' shadow. Now, that also fucks people up, so you can't really win, you know? You're rich, you're fucked up, you might do drugs. If you're famous, you're probably, there's a significant issue surrounding that anyway. If you're poor, you also might have drugs around you, and there might also be some like physical abuse or domestic abuse or child abuse, or I'm not saying that evades the rich. I'm just yeah, it would probably be in both. I don't know who it's more common in, to be fair, whether it's low-income families or high-income families, or whether it's equal. But I think in all situations, well, no, actually, when you're poor, I think you try not to be your parents, even though often you are. If you're rich, you are trying to be your parents, but better. And often that's made a lot easier by having a lot of money around. When I talk about rich, by the way, I mean like really fucking rich. I don't mean just like middle of the road. I mean like, you know, Elon Musk, like he is a bit of a psycho because his dad was a bit of a psycho, etc. So it's important that even if you're rich or poor, doesn't matter. Like, the fucked upness will always be haunting you. Money doesn't solve those kind of problems. Money doesn't solve mental health. I think what I'm talking about here is mental health issues, so I shouldn't really call it being fucked up. Look, I've got mental health issues. I'll admit it. I wouldn't say a lot. I was going to say I have a lot of mental health issues. I have mental health issues, and I have seen the doctor for it in the past, but I'm pretty stable right now. I'm pretty okay. But I'm also very honest about it. I was not in the past, I was very freaked out about revealing any kind of mental health information because I was just not in that place. But look, here I am. Anyway, I've also noticed it in patients, in particular young children who, there's something called a personality disorder, okay? And it just seems increasingly common that people have personality disorders. Now, personality disorders are very difficult and they are almost inextricably linked with neglectful or abusive parents. And usually neglectful because they miss a kind of parental figure. Ooh, by the way, I put some ginger in this matcha green tea. Not so... Oh my god, that was like a burp, but an inhale. It was weird. By the way, if you're not a fan of me discussing my bodily habits, i.e. burping, sometimes pooing, then this might not be the podcast for you, because I like to foster an open and honest environment, and caffeine makes me poo. You might say, Dawn, why are you having a caffeinated beverage at 19:37 p.m? Well, that's a good question. Matcha actually has, I think, less caffeine in it, and also it releases it more slowly. So also, I had a terrible night last night. I actually went and slept on the sofa at 6 a.m. because I just couldn't sleep. I was up for from 5 a.m. It was bad. Did I just say 6 p.m. or 6 a.m? I meant 6 a.m. Anyway, yeah, in particular, I've seen it in young adults, children. Oh, it's so bad. It really is. Self-harm, so awful. And, we see the worst of the worst in hospital. We see the ones who have, dare I? I don't know. I won't go into the children ones. They're usually like overdoses. So, but the adult ones are a bit worse, I would say. Just in terms of they get a hold of implements and stick them places that they should not be stuck. And it's not good. And yeah, it's a really sad thing to see. And I just... then they have children and then their children have issues as well because they're being raised by a parent with significant issues because their parent has significant issues, and it's just a nightmare. I am genuinely worried about the chronic ongoing fucked upness of the world. The reason why I make a distinction between my dog and humans, or not all dogs, but okay, you might have seen her in my videos, Lila, my orange Pomeranian. Now, Pomeranians are quite well known for being quite lively, but Lila is like the happiest dog you'll ever meet in your life. She's a little bit, let's say, vibrant and a little bit highly strung, and she's got a lot of energy, but she's got a lot of love. This girl is never happy except when she's being told off, which is not that often. She's not very naughty. But, I was trying to, figure out what is going on in that little brain that she is so happy. And I think I figured it out. There's a few things. Number one, she doesn't have to pay bills. She's just living for free. Number two, she's always getting food served to her and it's fine. It's it's there and somebody buys it for her and it just appears in front of her. Number three, water, also already there. Number four, she's got a lovely mummy, me. And she has a bed, and do you know what I mean? She's just got the basic necessities, the bare necessities of life. It's just the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. Is that the right word? Okay. Anyway, you don't see my dog trying to hurt herself on purpose and just doing things that are there are some dogs with mental health issues, to be fair, that will pull out their fur and chew things, but they've had troubled lives, I suppose. Oh god, I thought it paused then, but it didn't. It was just Premiere Pro. Anyway, another reason my dog is so happy is because she doesn't have any kind of responsibility. She doesn't need to pay bills. She doesn't need to do anything. Pretty much. She just needs to be her. The highlight of her day and the low light of her day is, the highlight is going out for a walk. The low light is not going out for a walk. So basically, she doesn't have many low lights because she does go out most days, and that's the best thing ever for her. So she's just happy all the time. I come home from work, she's there. In fact, I don't come home from work. I come downstairs, she's there. She's fucking happy. She's not I'm tired. I didn't get very much sleep last night. No, she's That was a really good reenactment. Sometimes, I woke them up at like, must have been 5 or 6 a.m. this morning, and they weren't like, why are you getting me up? They were like, ready for the day. We only went to sleep at 1 a.m., but we're ready. And I'm just like, how? Like, us humans, we're complicated. And I also realised why. It's because we know too much. Well, also we live very complicated lives. Like, what am I doing right now? I have a podcast, I'm drinking a fucking cup of tea, I have a smartphone, I have a microphone, I have editing software, I have to go and cook meals, I have to edit podcasts, and then I have to go and walk the dog, I have to wash myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, most animals do not have all of these complications, yet we are quite happily stuffing all of our minute little bits of time with anything we can get our little grippy fingers on, and we're just like, oh yeah, I'll well, some people aren't, but no, actually I think almost everybody is. Like, even if you're not working, you are watching TV or on your phone or doing something. Like, it's rare that you just sit there like this. Well, anyway, it is for me. That matcha might be a bad idea. We will not know until about 6 hours time. So pray for me. So I do think there's some merit in reducing we're kind of bringing, in some ways, we're kind of bringing mental health issues sort of on ourselves, me in particular, because I just keep doing more and more things. I'm like, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to have a podcast. I'm going to have a YouTube channel. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to have 2 dogs. I'm going to dog walk. I'm going to edit all my own videos. I'm going to apply for acting jobs. Like, so much stuff. And where does my life even fit into that? Often, like, if I'm really pushing myself, I really can't be asked to eat, can't be asked to go to the toilet, can't be asked to sometimes go and walk the dogs, can't be asked to drink. I forget to drink all the time. I forget to look after myself. And why? Because we are constantly doing something. I think it's the fact that we're like, life's too short, so we're like, okay, let's make it the most intense experience possible so that we've made the most of this very short experience. And I don't actually think it's that short. 100 years, if you live 100 years, like, that's a pretty long time. I also think not only do we do too much, I think we think too much, especially me. I mean, you've heard my weird fucking thought section. I come up with weird thoughts that I think about, and I tell you about them. So my weird thought of today, it's a pretty good little segue there, isn't it? I've actually got it up. Yay. So my weird thought of today is, when we're asleep, how do we not choke on our own saliva? Now, I know it's something called a reflex, okay? Probably. I don't actually know. But I am shook. I'm like, how? How is it that sometimes it runs out your mouth, which is fair enough. Like, I can see how you wouldn't choke. But if you're on your back, are you just swallowing in your sleep? Or does it just evaporate? Or what happens to it? I don't know. And I really think that's quite crazy, because sometimes when I'm awake, I inhale my own saliva, like when I'm trying to drink or whatever, or sometimes a little bit of food, or do you know what I mean? So I'm awake and I'm fucking it up, yet when I'm asleep and fully unconscious, I seem to manage just fine, and that baffles me. So yeah, that is a prime example of how humans think too much. Do you think my dog would ever think about how much she salivates? No. I don't even think she knows what saliva is. She's just like, she is the definition of living in the moment. She is honestly, like, she's a little fucking sweetheart. She is, I mean, they both are, but Lila in particular is like the happiest dog ever. So she is truly living in the moment. Now, when you take Bailey out for a walk, that's when he comes into his own. He's like, I'm fucking ready. Okay, I'm just going to make a quick bowel update. I can feel things happening, alright? So we might need a quick little tap out in a minute. Caffeine just stimulates me. It really gets me going, okay? Oh, talking about caffeine, another thing that humans do that not many other animals do is take drugs. Caffeine, classic example. Alcohol, another example. Smoking, tobacco, nicotine is the drug, sorry. Weed, etc. I don't need to name all the drugs. And I'm talking about recreational drugs here. I'm not talking about, or like, everyday drugs. I'm not talking about like beta blockers and heart medication and stuff like that. Like, yeah, okay, we could take those. But also that is another point that I need to mention. But we self-medicate ourselves with, okay, I'm tired, I'm not going to take a nap. No, I need to go to work. So I am going to drink coffee to wake myself up. Okay, I didn't sleep very well last night, so I'm going to have another coffee in the afternoon because my employer won't let me nap. Like, there's nowhere to nap, and they won't let me anyway. So I have no choice. I have to drug myself to get myself through the day. And you know what? If my dog were an employee, she would nap. She wouldn't give a fuck. She'd be like, I'm sleepy, I'm sleeping. But also, she doesn't really get sleepy. She's got a lot of energy. I remembered what I was going to say. The other thing about drugs is we use a lot of drugs to keep ourselves alive for longer. Now, literally no other animal does this, it's just us. We've decided to tempt fate, to cheat death and live as long as we can. And often that puts quality of life to the side for many, many people, because people aren't allowed to die in this country. No, we have to keep them living for as long as they want, and if they want to die, well, then we have to check their mental health to see, like, are they really allowed to die? And we're not allowed to do euthanasia because people aren't allowed choice over their death. They only are allowed to live, and that's it. And it's like, it's quite tragic. It really is. Like, it's hard to see, you know, there are some people who are just, I'm done with life, I don't want to be alive, but they're like, well, doctor keeps forcing the tablets, and that's it. But old people are just like living, they're just like, and I'm another day, and I'm still eating porridge, and I'm still stuck in my chair, and Wendy's coming to change me, and that's it. My nurse, Wendy. And it's kind of a sad existence. So, I mean, I think old people are a bit less fucked up than young people because old people just give less fucks, but also I'm wondering if it's because old people had less to be fucked up about, and now they're all, you know, they're kind of dying, and we're just going to be left with all of, you know, the more fucked up people who have been fucked up by social media. And social media scares me, okay? Yes, I make content, but at least I'm making content. I'm just making myself feel better here, but I'm making content that is, you know, I'm hoping beneficial. I'm just going to reset the camera. I hope this helps you, not is just for entertainment, although I like to think I'm a little bit... That was not timed at all. That just happened. That was quite a loud one as well. I'm really sorry. Oh my god. Okay. Oops. Now, trust me, I have seen some happy fucking human, okay? And I think I know what their trick is. I would say I'm quite a happy human. I have my bad days. Yeah, of course I do. I'll tell you about some of them, shall I? Okay, so sometimes when I have my period, I just want to cry for no reason. I think it's just because of hormones, and that's it. And I get really bad anxiety because of it. Sometimes when else do I get anxious? Oh yeah, when I'm hungover. That's a bad one. I feel like the world might end and implode, and I have really bad existential dread and just dread about I don't even know what, but it makes me sad and scared and anxious, and I just want to curl up on the sofa and move. So that's how I'm not happy. Although I think I'm happy. Oh my god, I am so much happier since I left fucking medicine, doing it full time in a job that I hated, and I was being paid well, yes, but I hated it, yes, and I was so miserable, and I think that reflected in my content, it reflected in my life. Do you know what? I had a fucking great day today. Did I do much? No, not really. But when I went to sleep on the sofa, I was just like, oh my god, this is so great. And then I woke up and I was just like, and then I was working in here, and then I just walked out and I was like, oh my god, I'm still in my house. That's amazing. I really don't want to go back to a hospital because I think, one, it's going to make me miserable. Two, I have to like, if I have a bad day of sleeping, which I did last night, I still have to go in and exist and do somebody else's, like, the 9 to 5 schedule, and I don't really have a choice, and that's kind of it, and I'm scared about that. And you want a break? No, you're not getting a break, but at least I'll be able to do, like, you know, one shift here and there. It's not like a full-on 9 to 5 thing every day, or even worse, maybe shift work. But look, anyway, that's me moaning about my job. And that is why a lot of people have, I would say, mental health problems, because they have to work in it. Well, they don't have to, okay? I'd like to point out that you don't actually have to, but people do work in a job that they hate, and it baffles me. I mean, it doesn't actually, I understand it, but it's so freeing when you leave or you take control of your life. And I think that's something that makes people fucked up, is not having control over their life, especially for me. I love having control over my life. I'm sorry, am I a control freak? Maybe, I don't know, but I like it. So right, let's talk about the happiest kind of humans, because they do exist. I'm not like the happiest. I am a medium rare happy. No, medium. I'm a medium well done. I'm not a well done happy. So I've seen some really fucking happy humans, and I've never seen them really in hospital, unsurprisingly. I mean, working in hospital, I mean, you don't really see many happy patients because they're a bit sick. Although some of them are happy to be there because they're like, oh my god, I'm getting my operation done finally, yay, I'll be able to walk again or whatever. But a lot of the staff, not so happy. Find me a happy hospital worker and I'll get them on the podcast, and I bet you won't find one. It's a challenge. Okay, so some of the happiest humans I've seen have been in the ones that, in particular, I've noticed over the past couple of weeks, months, have been in a creative environment. And I can think of one person in particular, and they basically, they don't give a fuck. Like, that is how they're not fucked up. They might be a little bit, but look, I don't think so. Obviously haven't delved into their like history or like their issues or whatever, but they don't give a fuck about what people think of them, maybe a little bit, but they don't give a fuck about materialistic things. Now that's an important one, because I think some of us probably could lower our living standards and be a bit less materialistic and live a bit more minimalistic in order to be a bit happier. Because I do think some of us stay in our job because we've got a certain living standard that we need to uphold, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to let this go, and I get it, but also it's like, oh, this job's making me unhappy, but it is helping me live the lifestyle I want to live. But then, am I actually able to live that lifestyle because I'm at work all the time? It's a question. Oh my god, that scared the shit out of me. See, I just choked on my saliva. Okay. Oh dear. Okay, I didn't realise my phone was on loud. I'm very sorry about that. It's literally never on loud. I just made an online sale. Yay! I keep doing this, kind of ironically, but also not. So I think this person, or people that just are a bit happier, the happiest kind of humans, are people who care less about materialism, have a more minimalistic life. Maybe they just put on a different, they don't have many clothes, they just whatever, and they're not like trying to chase the new iPhone or the new TV or whatever. I do think some of it is ignorance is bliss, because I think if I thought less, I would be happier. Let's let that sink in for a minute. I think too much. I overanalyze a lot of stuff. As a result, I get a bit existential sometimes, and I think sometimes it's better not to worry about the things that you literally can't control, i.e. the universe. So I do think some people just live in the moment, and they don't think too much about, or maybe they don't know so much or don't think so much about uncontrollable things. So yeah, is the world gonna crash into the sun? Is a meteor gonna crash into the world? When am I gonna die? What am I gonna die of? Like, stop having those existential thoughts and just stop worrying about uncontrollable things. Like, it's this process. I'm not saying it's easy, but ignorance is bliss. About the right kind of things, I think. Uncontrollable things, ignorance is bliss. And I often think people who are happier, like I said, live in the moment. So they're not constantly like, oh my god, I need to go and work so that I can buy that new iPhone. They're just happy with what they've got, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Am I guilty of getting the new iPhone? Yes, of course I am. I've got I think, maybe not now actually, the newest iPhone, but it's pretty good. But I do videoing stuff, YouTube, podcasts, so I was like, I want to get quite a good one so that I can get some good pics and stuff like that. That was my excuse. Otherwise, I think I didn't need any. The only upgrade I needed was the cameras. Like, I didn't need any change of the phone as such, but you have to change the phone to get the better camera. So, but people are always gonna portray what they want, okay? And this is the thing with social media. Everybody thinks everybody's fucking happier than them, and I'm telling you, they're not, okay? I could post a picture of me, you know, especially with AI nowadays, it's kind of scary. Like, I could AI myself onto, like, the Bahamas beach, and people would believe it. People would be like, oh my god, Dawn, you're in the Bahamas. I'd be like, yeah, I'm having the best time drinking pina coladas and having foot massages. Am I doing that? No, I'm sitting here, a little bit needing a wee, a little bit needing a poo, a little bit out of breath and a little bit tired, and it's raining outside and it's fucking cold, so I turned the heating on. But the heating was a great time, not gonna lie. And yeah, people are just gonna portray whatever they want. And if you don't really deep delve into the, you know, full psyche of somebody, you're never gonna truly know, like, what is it that they're unhappy about something. Like, there's something that they're unhappy about. The difference is whether it consumes them, whether it affects their daily life. I could say something that affects me quite a lot, and should I be revealing this? Probably not, but I'm going to. Something that affects me probably every day is, like, how I look, my body, for instance. It does bother me. My body bothers me. I'm bothered by my body. It's been a long-term issue, just with, like, fatness, and even when I was skinny I was still bothered, okay? So, but I don't think you'd necessarily know that if I didn't tell you. And then there are things that don't bother me that much, but probably would bother me if they came up. I don't know, doesn't bother me that much, but I guess my skin is, like, not that even. I'm not, like, it bothers me when you, like, if I think about it or if I see it in a picture, but I'm not that bothered. Like, I don't wear makeup to cover it up. I just don't really give a fuck. So there we are. I think it's like you can be bothered about things more if you think about them more. And I don't know, is thinking less a good thing? I think so. I do think it's what distinguishes us from other animals, and it's our downfall. Thinking too much. We're too fucking innovative. We're pushing things a bit too far. Like, chill out. I think everybody's thinking that. Like, chill out. Because people who thanks for that. People who are still alive now have seen the progression from literally so simple, like didn't even have a TV or a fridge, to now the ultra specialization of everything. And it's such a contrast, and it's like, where's it going to end? And also, it's such a short time that we've seen it over. It's been an exponential rise, and I think it's kind of probably coming to like a plateau now. How much more can we really go? I don't know. I mean, there are things that I would quite like, but it would also take the pain. Like, okay, people would love to transport. I've forgotten the name for it. Where you, like, transport yourself, but you don't actually have to travel. I just can't remember the word sometimes. That's how you know you've podcasted too much in one day. Maybe I'll remember it, but whatever. I'd love to be able to do that, but then I'm like, does it just take away, like, if I could just be like, oh, okay, I want to go to Italy right now, bam, and then I'm in Italy, I feel like it just takes away the specialness of it, because I could just do it all the time. So it's like, well, what's the point? Like, I just did it again. Like, do you know what I mean? It just takes away the specialness of planning a trip and the travel there, and that I know the travelling is fucking shite, but it's part of the process, and sometimes you need to go through some amount of pain to get to the goodness on the other side, which is the beach or the happiness of travelling. Yeah. I tell you what though, it is so hard to live in the moment. Like, right now, I think I am living in the moment right now. Although I am kind of thinking about, I need to go and walk the dogs, and it's getting dark, and is it still raining? Is it still really cold outside? And I do really need to pee, so I'm thinking about that too. And then I'm thinking, oh my god, I've got to edit this, like, video and like this podcast that I'm currently doing. So, and I'm like, oh, I've got to go back to work. So there are things in my head that I'm thinking about. Although for the most part, I can just focus on what I'm doing right here. But living in the moment is so hard. Like, we're constantly, and you need to have some kind of future planning. Otherwise, do you even have money to pay bills? Like, maybe not. So you can't live in the moment all the time. Like, you do need to be some kind of sensible. And I think that's where holidays play a good part, because they make us just live in that moment. You just forget about the fact you got to pay bills and everything's like generally sometimes paid for, and you're just having a good time at that point in time, and you're not sort of worried about, I need to go and change the bedding. Someone's doing it for you. You can have a break. So I think I'm definitely trying to find ways to live more in the moment. I find it so hard not to do something. Like, I'm always, even if I'm just lying down, I'm reading. I've done it recently, especially when I'm burnt out. I just sort of stare and just look at the wall or out the window. But I think we all need to do that more, just like observing the world. We don't need to have our head in the TV or social media or whatever all the time. Just think about where you are at that moment. Like, for me, I'm just right here, although I could definitely be on the toilet right now. I'm getting kind of like, I think that might be enough. I've talked about the toilet too many times. And yeah, guys, if you disagree with me, go for it. Give me a little comment though. If you agree with me, are we seeing the current demise of oh my god, this might be used in future like post-apocalyptic world. This podcast might be referred to as some kind of marketing content. Look at what happened to the world. It was predicted by this girl here. A bit like 1984 predicted like the Big Brother thing, and also Anne Frank actually wrote in her diary like, oh, imagine if somebody's reading this, like lol, and then it's like the most read book in the world apart from maybe the Bible or something. How crazy is that? So that was weird. But yeah, if you have any comment, please comment them down below. Do you think we're just seeing the terrible demise of the human race? Do you think we're all a little bit fucked up in some way, or we've all got something a little bit about us, which is my opinion? Or do you think there are some truly happy people? And what is the key to being? Tell me, because I need to know. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you liked it, give it a like, and I'll see you. I upload every Mondays and Tuesdays. No, wait, that's not right. Monday and Thursday. So twice a week. It comes out on my Buzzsprout website, which I'll leave in the YouTube link, so you can actually listen to if you're on YouTube, you can actually listen to the podcast 2 weeks in advance. Then then pretty much as it's released on Buzzsprout, which is my podcast hosting platform, it's also put onto my Patreon page, which you can join as a membership, just to help support my content. And if you like it and you want to support me and you want me to make better content, then that would be super useful. And then 2 weeks after I've recorded it, it is released on YouTube. So currently it is the 24th of April, and I'll be releasing this on the 12th, I think, of May. So it is a little while. If you want to get early access, please do go check out those things. I'll leave them in the description below. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have. I was in a real podcasty mood today. Like, I'm in a talkative mood. Some days I'm not, okay? Some days it's painful to try and talk, and I need to try and record on the days where I'm feeling like this, because it's much easier for me. It's much more fun for you to watch, because it's, as you can imagine, you need to see some kind of enthusiasm. Anyway, I'm going to go walk the dogs, my happiest puppas in the world, before it gets dark. And yeah, like I said, let me know what you thought down below, and I'll see you in a few days. Bye.